Every day, our Constitution is under attack. Democrats, conveniently hidden behind their own wall of tight security, threaten our country's national sovereignty.
The Biden administration has stopped construction of the fence, and this is a huge problem.
Biden's open border agenda, invited, then actively enabled, and now facilitates our country being invaded.
Crisis at the southern border.
Just over 4,000 people under that bridge.
8,000 migrants.
For over 10,000 migrants.
Nearly 11,000 migrants.
More than 12,000 migrants.
With a vaccination rate of less than 1%.
He's imported more virus from around the world by having a wide open southern border.
Folks are coming over and across as if there is no border.
Many with COVID, none of them being tested. Nobody's being vaccinated, no mandates for them.
Very unsanitary conditions.
Biden can fix this at any moment, but he chooses illegal immigration over fixing the broken system.
This is by design. This is what this administration wants. And people are asking, why aren't they at the border? Because this is going exactly as planned by them. So
he is failing and he's willfully disregarding his duty to enforce the laws of the United States.
The Biden administration has decided to pay reparations to illegal aliens. $450,000 a person at exactly the moment that American families are becoming noticeably poorer by the day.
While forcing on Americans an ultimatum to get jabbed or lose their jobs.
Vaccinate your workforce.
GE employees who say they're not just frustrated by the vaccine mandate, they also feel betrayed by the company they say didn't give them enough time to choose.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
It violates bodily autonomy when we allow corporations or governments to tell us what is best for our health. That is a scary place to be. Members of our military, good people who love their jobs, are having to decide between providing for their family and getting an injection which they aren't comfortable with. That is un-American. That is not what takes place in the land of the free.
Our incompetent intruder-in-chief, currently squatting in the White House, left behind billions of dollars of our military equipment to the Taliban, to terrorists.
There are scenes of panic and pandemonium at Kabul airport today as desperate people pour onto the runway trying to flee the country. It's a disorderly mess with little security.
The scene of those big giant planes taking off with people hanging on the sides and falling off.
Well, first of all, the mission hasn't failed yet.
So we have to ask the Taliban for permission for American citizens to leave. True or not true?
They are in control.
No one U.S. forces or any forces have been lost.
There was at least one explosion centered around the Abbey Gate of the Kabul airport.
11 Marines, 1 Navy medic, and 1 soldier were killed by a suicide bomber at the airport gate.
Biden's botched exit in Afghanistan is the most astonishing display of gross incompetence by a nation's leader.
The likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
And yet, on the ground in Afghanistan, the white flag of the Taliban and images which show that every assumption made by the Americans was wrong. Fighters seized Afghan military equipment, and on a US military vehicle, they celebrated.
What has happened in Afghanistan represents the worst humiliation the US has suffered since the fall of Saigon or the Iran hostage crisis.
And it really is about leaving nobody behind.
We believe there are still a small number of Americans who remain in Afghanistan and want to leave.
He left Americans behind.
All this while the United States is also trying to bring in and resettle more than 60,000 Afghan evacuees.
If this isn't a mission accomplished moment, what is it?
No, there's no mission accomplished.
And in the wake of the biggest foreign policy disaster in America's history, this unhinged war criminal and his conniving band of co-conspirators have now made America the reigning, all-time, #1 state sponsor of terror against Americans.
Courtesy of Uncle Sam, American-supplied armor, now riding under Taliban colors.
With a parade of US-built MRAP vehicles, a Black Hawk helicopter in what, from the Taliban perspective, is a victory.
We're at a time in America's history where the rule of law means nothing.
Burn down Wendy's, loot Macy's, defund the police.
Anarchists run rampant. crime goes unpunished.
You only arrest for the purpose of dealing with a felony that's committed, and I don't count drunk driving as a felony.
And Democrats do everything in their power to protect the criminals.
Rioters were burning down cities, businesses, attacking people on the streets, and even killing.
While patriotic Americans sit in jail in solitary confinement with no due process for trespassing.
Well, apparently it's patriot hunting season ever since January 20th. 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. They aren't able to talk to their attorneys. There's several men in there that really need medical treatment. They're being denied. These are pre-trial defendants, and they're not allowed to bail out.
Meanwhile, they push gun control on Americans so we can't protect our families from the thousands of criminals that they released into society, many to reoffend. Democrats are drunk on power. We have agitators tearing down statues, school boards sexualizing our children.
Are your kids yours, or do they belong to the teachers' unions?
Activists teaching revisionist history and turning our government schools into indoctrination camps.
I have an Antifa flag on my wall. For 180 days, turn them into revolutionaries.
How do you do that? How do you
scare the out of them?
He was allowed to change my daughter's mind about some fascist crap that y'all have let in this school.
This obsession and focus on racism, on white supremacy, on making children say, look, anything that happens in this country is the fault of racism.
And radicalizing our children to hate America.
The world is changing. This is a new world.
Meanwhile, our government exploited an emergency they exacerbated.
COVID-19 and our efforts to address the global pandemic to regional global pandemic.
How have they done it? They needed an existential crisis. Well, COVID-19 is their never-ending existential crisis.
To centralize power, shut down businesses, bring our economy to the brink of collapse, drive runaway inflation.
Inflation is skyrocketing. Cars, groceries, furniture, rent, gasoline are hitting Americans right in the wallet.
The statistics are staggering, showing food prices rose with dramatic increases in meat, poultry, fish, and eggs, ringing in at almost 10.5% more.
Rammed through trillion-dollar spending bills our grandkids will be stuck paying for.
13 GOP House members voted yes on that infrastructure bill.
New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith, you were one of the 13 Republicans who voted for that bill.
Somewhere between $700 billion and $1.3 trillion.
This bill is monumental, bigger than anything we've ever done.
And make our already bloated federal government even bigger.
Everything woke turns to
ships piled up outside our ports.
This is what a port in a crisis looks like. Dozens of cargo ships have been waiting to dock off the Los Angeles Long Beach container terminal.
Empty shelves in supermarkets.
It's bread, it's dog food, it's ketchup, it's building supplies, it's everything.
Gas prices on the rise.
In the face of skyrocketing energy prices, the White House announced it may shut down yet another pipeline. Shutting down a pipeline in the middle of an energy crisis? No, it's too destructive.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
I don't see anything that's going to happen in the meantime that's going to significantly reduce gas prices.
Biden is the American horror story.
Freedom. No, I mean, come on. Freedom.
We are seeing America being radically transformed into a communist country.
America. This is the government our founders warned us about. How did we allow it to get here?
The goal here is compliance.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
It's compliance that empowers our own government to push the envelope, seizing power they're not entitled to and trampling our protected rights.
What they're really trying to do right here in America is build exactly that model where the state controls and owns and operates everything. You will have nothing and you will be happy because you will have served some higher purpose. And by the way, if you want anything, you gotta worship government.
Put trust and faith in our government.
In America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
It's time for all Americans to wake up, secure our country, stand up to tyranny, and rein in our government's unchecked power. My name is Ann Elizabeth, and I'm running for Congress. Join me as we take back our government and save America. We have a republic if we can keep it.